Good mornings, darlings.
Murmuration morning to you, Jeannie.
And to you, Blake.
It's a perfect day.
It's a perfect day, but we're going to talk about perfection.
It is. I'm perfect. You're perfect. The world's
Pretty,
perfect.
pretty please. Don't you ever feel that you're less than perfect. Yeah. To me.
Ha ha.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So tell us about how you're going to lead this segue in to perfection.
Well, there's a story that people tell with their hands and needles and thread.
Ah.
And I have been gifted several times with some really awesome quilts.
That is super
My great-grandmother used to hand quilt quilts, and I have some of them at our home. But I didn't bring them because they're really kind of getting delicate. Yeah. But this is a newer one, and was given to me by a beautiful woman in San Antonio, Texas. And her quilt guild actually put this together at the Texas Institute of Culture.
Wow.
It's a cool museum about all the different cultures that are part of Texas. You might not know about that. And
I had a song there about San Antonio. The San Antonio Stroll.
Oh.
Yeah, but
well, she wrote the story of the quilt right here on the back. But why I brought it was she said that there's a tradition in quilt making to, on purposefully, put in a mistake.
Wow.
And so somewhere in my quilt, there's a panel or a piece that is unlike all the rest. And
I'm in the middle of starting a quilt. Well,
wow.
Yeah, this quilt was actually started 11 years ago. When my son
you can warm your toe with this quilt.
Well, no, I have a bunch of these strips.
Oh, okay.
But these are still all wrinkled and whatever in the end. When my son was born, he almost wasn't, and so I didn't have a celebration for him until he was a year old. So right. And instead of baby stuff and toys, because I didn't need any of those things because he had a brother, I asked people to bring a 4-inch square of somehow significant fabric to them. So some of them, it was a shirt that they loved, and some of it was, things that their children wore, and their children were real cute in it. But I don't know anything about quilts, so what's weird is that it's all different kinds of material, so it probably won't wash and dry very well. I would have to hand wash it and air dry it because it'll shrink and do funny things.
Are you saying your quilt won't be perfect?
Well, what's funny is that I'm going to have to purposefully put something perfect into the quilt. Because
the opposite of this.
Yeah, because the quilt is just completely imperfect if it ever gets finished. So I think I'm aiming for his wedding someday, maybe 10 or 15 years, maybe 20 years from now.
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll be done by then.
Well, in the world of the church and worship, we create worship services, and we always hope, we have this perfect idea of how everything's going to work out.
Every Sunday.
Oh my gosh. We can do wedding stories, baby.
Yeah.
Some of the things that have happened, brides on fire.
Brides on fire?
Oh yeah,
dude, you had a bride on fire?
There's not mine. It's another story from another minister in San Antonio.
Wow.
The bride caught on fire. Mine almost went into a lake on a carriage.
This very Sunday, I had an interesting thing happen. It was
goody.
Yeah, goody. It was one of these moments I was really, it just felt great because my son, against his will and against his better judgment, agreed to be the lay reader for me. I needed another voice to do some of the readings, and he was very kind to say that he would do it. And I knew that he, preacher kids don't like to be roped into doing stuff.
No,
not at all. But it was very gracious, and I said, well, you could do the 2 smaller ones. So he did the Old Testament reading. The Hebrew Testament was quite short. It was from Genesis, and he read that. And he did a beautiful job. It was, just a lovely job. And then the next bit was the responsive reading of the Psalm. again, I forget which psalm it was, but in the bold bits is where, whatever. I think it's the light bits. The preacher reads
light,
bold bits.
Bold for the people.
Bold for the people. And so he is reading his bit, and then they're answering the next bit, and then he reads his bit, and then they answer the next bit. And instead of him advancing to the next new bit, he began to...
Oh, no.
He began to repeat the one he had done before, and without thinking just went, oh, expletive. Only he didn't say expletive. He said the S-H-O-T word.
Uh-oh.
And into the microphone.
Oh, no.
And it was just like,
hello.
And then he was in the lectern, the wee pulpit, and I was in the bigger pulpit. And so I pulled a funny face, to everyone, because it was like sharp intake of breath, And he continued like as if nothing happened. Although, remember we were talking about blushing? He does blush. And he did go that puce color, sort of red. And then
it's Lent.
Purple.
It's appropriate.
It's appropriate for Lent. And I think then when he finished, I thanked him for the beautiful reading and the honesty in which he read, which got a bit of a laugh. But, you just...
Everybody
on the
laughed?
Moments,
Did everybody laugh? I'm just remembering some people in my past who would have...
Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be people who wouldn't have laughed. I know.
But
Could you imagine the minister's son saying naughty words?
Being a human.
Being a human.
Yikes.
So, okay, anyway. But
that's great.
Yeah, so there you go.
I bet they remember that story for a long time.
I bet he will. So I spanked him. No, I'm just kidding. I never spanked him. I thought it was funny. These things, they happen, and he was trying really hard.
I don't know.
It didn't work out, so we just like.
I don't know why though. We expect perfection, even though we know we can't.
Yeah,
ever,
we still expect it.
We still expect it, and even though we always go, well, I know we can't do that. It's like sometimes things get stuck in your teeth.
Oh, that time
and you
we
don't
filmed,
know it.
and you had that big green blob. That was.
It might be on film somewhere, big green blob, but it's happened in real life. And
that makes me just go.
And you're talking, and you're laughing, and the other person's going.
One thing about perfection, though, and imperfection, is that in a way, we're harder on ourselves.
Yep.
With perfection. So I'm wondering if my son is having a harder time with the expletive than the rest of us are, because it was, I don't know. I'm certainly harder, I think, on myself with bits where I thought I was imperfect than other people are of me. So I don't know.
I remember a time where I wore brown pants and brown shoes.
Yeah.
And I wear a black robe at church. And the woman got kind of upset at me because she wanted...
It all black?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah. And another time where this beautiful music had been played in church. And I said, wasn't that a beautiful service? And she said, well, but your stole was crooked the whole time. And that bothered me.
Yeah,
and I went, my gosh.
I don't wear a robe. For the very reason that it's just too boxy, and it just fits me funny if it's closed up. So there have been times where I've had the black sort of minister suit with the thing, on, and then I would just shrug the black Geneva robe over it. And one time when I was doing communion, it slipped slightly off my shoulder, and I had someone really kind of conniption mode.
Yeah.
Just like it was just driving them so crazy.
So I think.
Yeah. So now I don't wear it ever. Because I don't want anyone to.
We're tortured by perfection.
We are.
And we never quite get it. I know.
Where's Barbie when you need her?
I know Barbie's up here, Miss Perfection, up on the shelf. N.T. Wright is a fabulous theologian over in English way. And he does this beautiful story about how we want to capture something that's perfect and beautiful. And like when you climb to the top of a mountain, you take a photo, and taking the photo is your attempt to capture this huge moment.
Yeah.
And you can't. You can't
the
keep it.
Picture never looks. Or the moon.
Do
you ever notice you can't really take a good picture of the moon?
No.
Yeah.
So we get glimpses of perfection.
Yeah.
And we never... So there's somehow we have to be okay with that. Mm-hmm. How do we be okay with it?
I don't know, Blake.
I need you to fix that. I need you to help us be perfect.
Well, again, like the white space and like the finished, I suppose there's a time when it is that uncomfortable place of just enjoying the glitches as much as you enjoy the smooth ride.
So the glitches and the mistakes and the bumbles,
the baby crying
can be
the
part of
the teenage expletive during service.
Well, they
during
really,
the reading
you
of
know
Holy
what?
Scripture.
And I think that's kind of the end of this story. Is it's really the mistakes that happen at weddings and worship and work that we remember and laugh about years later.
When the bride goes on fire, I'll never forget that.
But at the time it's terrible. But I bet they sit around and belly laugh about that now.
Yeah.
And it becomes a perfect
I hope
story.
they're still married.
I don't know. It becomes a perfect story because it becomes joyful.
Yeah. Well,
So,
it's certainly not a wedding you're going to forget.
Let's let go of this idea that we're perfect or can be perfect.
Or if
something.
you are perfect, like Barbie,
Yeah.
why don't you do a little something to make yourself imperfect? Like
Sew something in because the rest of us can't take
we
it.
just can't take it.
This is a beautiful quilt
And this
with
someday,
an imperfection.
This someday will be a beautiful quilt full of memories and cool things from cool people who wanted to bless my child.
So go have an imperfect day and enjoy it
Perfectly imperfect.
heartily.
Yes.
Heartedly.
And know that you're perfect, that you're not less than perfect in your imperfection.
You're perfectly imperfect.
Yeah.
Perfectly. Isn't that Mary Poppins? I'm going to be Mary Poppins today.
Or Pink.
She's perfectly perfect in every way.
She is.
But she wasn't.
Cheerio, pip, pip.
Have a wonderful day.
I should
Yeah.
show her my... Bye!
Bye. Have a great day. Love ya.
I do too.
We're on drugs.
What? Caffeine.